Welcome to Soltron. This is the video review for the Glory Alliance Season 3 Pulis alternate color figure. Here's the size comparison, and this guy would be about Commander class, though he's a lot less bulky. And here's a 360 view of this guy, and I think the new color scheme works really well. It's much nicer than like the drab blue and gray, like police colors that you always see. I really do like the transparent or green and red. It gives me like the old Lego space vibes. It just looks so cool. And then the black and the silver just all work really well together. If we get a good look at this head sculpt, you can see they're still using the Season 2 headmasters, which are very ugly looking, unfortunately. But this season they did do like a really good job painting these for the most part. So the extra paint details do make it look nicer, but of course it still looks ugly from most angles, and it's too skinny from straight on. So hope in the next season that they retire these head sculpts. They're just really not good. For articulation, he does have a head swivel because he's got this little platform his head plugs into. He does have 360 on the shoulder. Those little shoulder pad could get in the way. He does got a nice spring clicking joint here. And then he does have bicep swivel. He does have double jointed elbows for 180 degrees. He does have ball joint wrists, and he does have opening fingers, which open about that much, just enough to get a weapon in there. And yeah, so he's got good outward motion. Clicking joints, I think I said that already. And then he does have waist swivel. You can move his skirt out of the way, and you can see he's got those universal joints they've been using. So you get some soft ratcheting for an outward kick, ratcheting for the forward kick, and for a backward kick. I think these are all friction ratchets. And then you get like a heavy duty ratchet, which is also probably a friction ratchet for his thigh. And then you get a good like 120 degrees on the knee bend, so excellent knee. And then you do have ball joint ankle, but it's buried in there, so you're really not going to get much out of this. It's not that useful. For his A stance, his feet are not going to be flush with the ground. If you like, you can only spread his legs. If you spread them that far, it's too far. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, pretty great articulation. He's got almost all the modern articulation. I think just the ball joint neck is, and better ball joint ankles are probably the only thing he's missing. But yeah, really great articulation. You can get some decent looking poses out of him, even though he's not a very dynamic looking robot, because he's kind of bulky and static looking. But yeah, you get some really nice natural looking poses out of him. Again, really love these colors. And I guess another point of articulation he has is these rockets on his back can swivel, so you can get a more neutral pose out of those. So yeah, another great robot from Glory Alliance. One more thing this figure can do, he can actually combine with this tank. Well, not this tank. There's actually a second version of this tank with smaller pieces that are meant to combine with this figure. So you have to buy like a whole set that has the 3 vehicles. So this tank doesn't technically combine with him, but you can sort of fake it. Okay, so the combination would basically look something like this. The tank he's supposed to be combined with is a little bit a smaller version of this tank, so everything's like a little bit too big. And then these pieces, I guess, would have clips here that would clip into these. These don't mate, so he can't actually, these forearm covers cannot actually get on his forearms, but they would look basically like this. So kind of a cool armor up. Looks pretty good. The reds don't really match at all, but that'd be a cool armor up. And then I don't know where these pieces would end up. I guess on the official combining version, maybe these would like go on the back of his calves or something. I have no idea. I couldn't find a place for these to attach, but that's something you can do if you get that specific 3 vehicle combiner version. You can get a combination that looks like this. And then I'm having a hard time getting this back out of his hand. All right. And then for transformation, this guy is a parts former. Well, because he's made of 2 vehicles mostly, his parts forming is pretty mild, but even then, there's still some additional parts forming you have to do. So first off, you're going to parts form these giant boosters on his back. And I guess a cool thing you can do if you wanted to, they give you these extra clips right here, so you could clip these onto his, well, maybe not. And that's kind of the annoying thing about these figures, is that even though they have clips that look like they'll be compatible, a lot of times they won't. Well, there we go. So I think it does work in this case, that you can barely clip those on, and you can put those on his forearm if you like that look for some reason. I think it looks better on his back, especially because his legs are so bulky. But anyway, and then you're going to just rip him in half, rip his head off. And then, of course, transforming the head is always the easy part. You just take off this shield on top, unfold the legs, unfold the arms, raise the head up, and then you're going to raise up this combiner port, and then this is going to peg into a little slot on the port. And then unfortunate quality control issue I have with this guy is his face was painted on crooked. So you can see his face is melting over to this side, which is annoying. So his face looks terrible, but otherwise paint was all sprayed onto him very nicely, other than this dumb looking face. But again, really cool colors. Appreciate that. And then to transform his body, it's very easy. You're just going to do this. You can shove these fists in, but it's not really necessary. Just get them out of the way. And then you're going to use this shoulder joint and get everything up in place like this. And then double joint his elbows. And then you're going to clip his forearms together. You get this kind of shape, and then you're going to get this light bar, and you can peg this. There's some holes right there. You can peg that into place when you get everything perfectly lined up. Okay, so that doesn't really look like much of anything right now, but then you pull out this cockpit that's behind his body, and then you open up this little joint and try to grip this the best you can for the nose cone. And then, yeah, you do have a nice little gap here, which of course is too small to fit the robot, because the robots just can never fit in their vehicles, which is always a missed opportunity. But there you get that, and then you're going to just peg these onto the shoulder pads. And there you have this pretty good looking starfighter vehicle, which I guess your guy can just jump on top of and he can fly on top of it. But yeah, very nice. Really appreciate that. And then you get his legs, and this is also going to require some parts forming. You're going to pull off the crotch section, which is kind of annoying. You just have to pull off this crest up here. Okay, there it is. So this part is the part that comes off. These wings don't come off. And then this is just going to rotate back. You're going to fold in these hip skirts, sandwich the legs together like you've done with a billion other robots. Point the toes forward again, very similar to everything else you've always done. And then you're going to take these sections, are going to fold forward to become the windscreen. And then you're going to just, it's easier when the legs aren't pegged together. You're just going to shove the legs all the way, telescoping them together, which is nice. It's nice when figures do this. I like it better than having to accordion them. And then you just fold the back skirt, and there's the front of your vehicle, and then you're going to take this piece, fold out this tiny pointless little gray plastic, peg that into the feet. Peg that into the feet. And there's the front of your vehicle, and there's your vehicle mode all done. And you can take his original gun and clip that on top, and there's his gun, and there's his clearly obvious feet sticking out of the front of this vehicle. It would be nice if the feet would have like telescoped in, and then you can see the robot does sort of scale with this vehicle, and of course there's nowhere for him to ride or be included in it, but not a bad looking couple of vehicles. I guess this guy doesn't have any way. Okay, well that's unfortunate. He doesn't really have any way of not being tilted up forever. But yeah, cool little set. Highly recommend. Quality is still pretty good. This, after shipping from AliExpress, cost about $40, so he's kind of on the higher end of expenses. All right, and here's like a comparison of his combiner version of the vehicles. You can see this vehicle looks more like a vehicle than this one. This one looks kind of off, but this one makes a more cohesive vehicle. So a lot of differences on these two. And then for his flying vehicle, this is the one that comes with the combiner version. I think this version actually looks better. It looks more like a cohesive vehicle, where this just looks like random parts put together. So yeah, I'll leave the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.